Hey everyone, welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. I am going to do a reading that I mentioned doing several days ago, and I think I said I was going to go check and do a meditation and see if it needed to be done right away or if it was something we waited on. And so it turned out to be something that we wanted to wait on. And this was around the third party, but it's changes that are changes with your person that are associated with that third party. So we're going to look into that. Sounds kind of specific, but that was really the reading that wanted to come out. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. It's kind of like a big overblown soulmate snapshot because it feels like this is the day where this is the energy where we need to do it. But by the same token, it is one that we definitely knew that was kind of coming. So like I said, it is a general reading. It's going to be a general reading for this collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody. And of course it shouldn't. But if it does resonate with you, then maybe think about subscribing, maybe even think about looking at some of the other videos to find some messages that have come before. These are all incredibly connected. I've gotten into what's happening with this collective, and there aren't any other readings that have been coming in for us. So we're going to look to see changes associated with the third party, but really with a focus on your person. So what I want to start with today, I still want to do that energetic backdrop, but I want to do the energetic backdrop as it relates to your person in their situation, just in their life. So it's like the energy around them very specifically today. So that's where we're starting. Yeah, essentially energy around your person and just kind of what's happening in that energy around them. What are they swimming around in? Because usually I look at this for both of you, usually for the time frame of about, I don't want to limit it to one day because sometimes energy flows and it comes and goes and it's not always at the 24-hour mark. Let's see here. So we've got, okay. So there's some kind of feeling of a lack of harmony. That's really what this is. I'm like, what are the best words for this? It's the lack of harmony. It's the Two of Wands, and it's in reverse. Now, when this comes out, a lot of times it feels like an emotional distance that needs to be traveled between the two of you. It's this impasse that we've seen come out over and over again. But when we see it here, this is really it's a little bit different from that. It's not so much an impasse. It's just it's an incongruency. More than anything else. There's something that doesn't fit, something that kind of needs to be translated or reshaped, or something new is required. There's a realization in today's energy. It's a quiet realization. We have the Nine of Swords in reverse. It's not one that's causing a bunch of consternation, a bunch of anxiety, even though that anxiety is kind of there on some level. It's not being felt so much today. There's this sense of, no, it just is what it is. There's something that doesn't match. Something isn't congruent. Something isn't aligned, and they just kind of have a realization about it. Now, this is going to be associated with the energy around that third party, but I don't want to jump to conclusions about what that means. We've got a Six of Swords here, but it's in reverse, which also tells us that it's got that calm inside the storm kind of feeling, like the calm at the eye of the storm, but it isn't really. There are a couple of tells here that let me know this is disassociation more than it's just being that calm. So there's a limit to the calm. Sometimes when you get in there and you see somebody who's remarkably calm, it's because that's how they respond to a situation. Other times you see that and you realize that they're just kind of vacant and empty in there. This is a version of like, it's like when you have the fight or flight. Freezing is one of the options. This is halfway to freezing. There is advice in there for them, but we've got this Two of Wands disconnect here again coming up in the reverse. And so two of these Two of Wands, there's a pretty strong feeling of disconnect. And this is like, this isn't going to be everybody, but it's like the sense of the marriage is in trouble, and that's the Two of Wands in the reverse, and the Hierophant is a counselor, a marriage counselor, or somebody that wants to help them repair things. But it's like the Hierophant is there, but there isn't much hope for the situation. That's kind of what it is. Now, I'm not saying everybody here, your person is married and there's a problem and there's, it's not specifically that. It is that type of energy, though, overlaying whatever else is happening. And we'll look to see what else is happening. But there, so one of the things that kind of comes out of this, and I recognize that it's partially because of that freeze response, partially because of it's more of a vacuous response than an actively calm response, if I could say it that way. But there is still some pain that falls away as a result of this. And to see both the Ten of Swords and the Three of Swords, I was only looking at the Ten of Swords when I said that, and I really should be looking down here, so this isn't part of it, even though I think that Hanged Man is incredibly relevant. It's not one that wants to be used in the reading. There's definitely something, a corner that hasn't been turned. That's why the Hanged Man feels relevant, because that's like a lesson that hasn't been learned, or a new perspective that hasn't been gained. So here with the Three of Swords and the Ten of Swords, though, we have pain falling away, something falling into place. And it's like, so I have to get into the energy in order to do these readings. And this one has almost a dreamlike kind of quality to it. I don't always get that when I get into the energy of your divine masculines, but I'm getting it pretty strongly today. There is this sense of, I mentioned that things are not aligned and things are not okay, but they aren't freaking out about it. It's like this calm inside the storm, but part of it is just kind of not expending the energy, or maybe not even being able to expend the energy. It's like being out of tears when you've cried so much. You're just like, okay, I can't really do this anymore. But it doesn't necessarily mean that things are solved. And I guess that's what wants to come out there. However, even though things haven't really been solved, there is some progress here. This is going to turn into progress. This is less pain, and this pain was what was holding them back from some of their healing. So I just want to put that out there. And I know that's not really like the big change that we came in here to talk about today, but it's interesting energy that your person is in, because the reason that we do this is because we want to lay a backdrop for this message. And I think what we're seeing here is a pretty amazing backdrop. And it's been shifting in the last few readings pretty significantly. Never a dull moment, though. I'll go ahead and say that. So we've got the Emperor card that has come out and the Three of Cups that has come out. Now, the Three of Cups in a third-party reading doesn't always refer to that third party, but it surely does here. We've got the Emperor. This is their masculine energy that is actually having these moments of pretty good balance. I don't want to say moments of clarity, because it would suggest that they are completely not clear the rest of the time. They kind of know. There's a high level of awareness, as we've seen in some of the previous readings, for themselves and what involvement they have. But there's not a lot of movement right now in the energy for them. There's a lot of movement in what they are doing. They are it's like thoughts and those values that we've seen shifting. Their thoughts and values have been shifting really significantly, which is what's making up that Chariot movement there. The Eight of Wands is kind of that movement in their actual life that's not really happening around them. There's a disillusionment with this third party that can't really be masked or hidden. It is relevant to the Two of Wands that we've seen here in reverse a couple of times. They really are going to be okay with this. So whereas this is kind of a false calm up here, it's going to lead to, it's like fake it till you make it calm. They're going to be fine. They're going to actually, there's truth that has come out for them, that they have seen it and been aware of it and kind of haven't really been able to process it. And we've been seeing that come out all year. However, this is the beginnings of them being able to process it, if that makes any sense. So I guess let's move on to what's happening with this third party. There are changes with this third party, either directly related to the third party or changes that are happening literally with the third party that are impacting the energy of your person and the situation for your person. So let's take a look at what's happening there. And we know the third party can take a lot of different paths. That can be, it can look different. There can be more than one. One person wrote to me and said, I don't think there's a third party involved here. And then was talking about their situation. And one of the things that they went on to talk about was this, this kind of tendency that their person has to have a very strong inner monologue. Okay, I'll just put it that way. It's a very strong inner monologue that turns out that like that had the energy of the third party. And I'm not going to say that that's going to be the third party for most of you. For most of you, it's legitimately a different force that is not within either of you, but it impacts you. So it's going to be either someone in your family, your household, or someone in your life. It would be somebody at work. It could be the workplace. It could be the nature of the household. But for most of you, the vast majority of you, it's going to be that. For some of you, it is going to be that inner monologue. And a couple of you have mentioned multiple personality situations. That's going to be pretty rare in a collective this size. But, I mean, it's going to be rare in any collective, but it's going to be just a couple of you, I would say, in a collective of this size. So I'd be curious to see the different ways that it plays out. But these cards should be, it shouldn't matter what form your third party takes. So we have the pleasure card that has come out here. It's the Six of Cups. It's in reverse. It is oftentimes the Six of Cups has a feeling of nostalgia associated with it. And in this case, it's less nostalgia and more pleasure because of the way that the card looks, the way that the card feels. But it's not pleasure at this point. The pleasure has all drained out of these cups. It's pretty much not a situation of pleasure, I would say. And this is directly related to this third party. So if this is their job, they're not happy right now. Doesn't mean they're unhappy with the job. They've got to find a new one. This is going to be awful. It's not necessarily that, but it is something that they're unable to unsee. I dropped some cards and they are live. We've got a Four of Swords that's come out sideways, Page of Pentacles in the reverse, and the Moon in the upright. So we're going to start with these. I don't know how many underneath are going to need to go, but there's kind of a concept that's coming out. Let me make sure it gets up here where you can see it. There's kind of a concept that's coming out with all of this. There is it feels like a shroud or a hood has fallen over their eyes. They're stuck in something that feels like, with this Four of Swords sideways especially, it feels like they're stuck in some kind of purgatory. Like there's something that they are not able to, they're not able to move forward with their healing at this time. So Four of Swords in the upright would be moving forward with that healing, having some rest and rejuvenation. They're not able to move forward with it at this time, but it's like this Eight of Wands in reverse kind of energy that's just not moving right now. There's a strong sense of that, but because of it, they aren't able to really get to the bottom of these lessons. And there's a lot of, so the Moon is about mystery. In this case, it's like mystery and you can't quite reach what you're shooting for. It's, again, got that really dreamlike, weird quality to it. It's like they know what the lesson is and they can't reach it. Because they feel like they're, in a lot of cases, overly invested, which is really this, overly invested and not overly passionate about it. Honestly, these two cards, they want to be part of it. We don't want any of the rest of these. Okay, but going back to these, they are overly invested in this third party. So if it's a job, they're feeling like they are really heavily leveraged in that job. They don't have a plan for moving out of it or finding something better if they're not happy with it. Right now, we know they're not happy with whatever the situation is, but with them feeling like this, it's almost a feeling of being trapped. This isn't quite Eight of Swords trappedness. It's I've invested so much, and what I would be killing by removing this investment or neglecting this investment, it is significant. But it also is kind of, it's bleeding them of their heart's desire. So there's a feeling of not even feeling very alive as a result of not making a change. We've got the King of Wands here, which is only kind of balanced. So there are some elements of this that feel a little bit like arrogance, a little bit, and this is something that's being imposed upon them. So many of you we have found or we have seen in the during the course of these readings are dealing with folks who have a narcissistic streak or have been behaving with some narcissistic tendencies. Um, this shows that many of your people may be dealing with that as well. So there's something that's acting upon them that has those kind of tendencies. They may be mirroring that, reflecting it back to you in some cases. So I'm just putting that out there because I know I've talked about narcissistic tendencies in people that are probably not certifiable narcissists, probably would never be diagnosed with it, but the tendencies and maybe some of those characteristics are there all the same. So I'm seeing that it's happening to them though. They're getting a bit of an experience of that. And so this Lover's card is interesting. It stands out in almost every way. Color, feel. It's there is there's something between the two of them. So if it's them at work, it's the vibe at work, or it's the vibe in the household, or it's the an issue between a couple that it's about you. Like it's about you. It's directly about you. They may not be talking directly about you, but the problem stems from the bond between you and your person. So this is about your bond, even if you're not talking to this person, to your person. This is about your bond impacting their third party situation. This is a direct impact to that. So interesting. Let's keep going. Okay, so the Ace of Cups is also part of this. Four of Wands is also part of this. Seven of Wands, and that's where it ends. I never know where it's going to end. I just go until the cards kind of stop. I call it glowing. They don't really glow. It's but they have a feel to them, and I can see it, and I know if they're supposed to be part of it. I don't immediately know what the message is until I kind of reach down and look at the card, but I get really caught up in looking at the messages of the cards, and sometimes what I'm saying will be in the very next one sitting down there, and I think, oh yeah, okay, that's just reiterating what I said. So this is about the Four of Wands and the Seven of Wands. Both of them kind of have the same feel coming off of them. So I'm gonna, and they even have kind of the same colors happening there, both in reverse, and they are very much about not having stability, not being sure about things, not having confidence to move forward. Not so this is a place where your person has been very comfortable and they no longer are. They also aren't having that emotional connection that they would want. So there's an element of them not feeling comfortable, not feeling at home, or not feeling at home in a job that they previously did feel at home in. So this is a little bit related to them seeing the truths and not being able to get past them. But they've been seeing the truths for a lot longer than they've really been registering this change. So here's that Five of Swords. It felt like it wanted to come out earlier when it was underneath that Four of Swords, but it wasn't time for this message, I guess. And even though it still feels kind of like the same message, but it really does fit in better in this part of the reading. So the Five of Swords, this is about conflict within them. It's about, I don't know what I should do. After you see the rest of this, they're like, okay, so I'm being held up from my healing. I have some issues, but I'm also very much tied to some circumstance with this third party, but it's kind of killing me on the inside. And there's a direct connection with, we got to get a little bit more into this. So here's our first layer of energy here, just kind of saying they're not happy in the third party situation. But over here, this is kind of getting more into it, and this is pretty significant. We're just going to blow this up and look at it a little bit more deeply when we get into the extended. So it'll be taking this and going to the deep dive level, because this is really what gets me. They've got so much conflict here, but it's unclear to me kind of what has changed, because it feels like maybe what's changed is things have kind of hit home for them a little bit because of the mood that they're in. But I want to understand a little bit more about what has changed and what that means. So that's what we're going to look into when we get into the extended. For now, let's do the question about you and about how this impacts you and your direction. So really, what should you be focused on given the rest of what you see here on this table? And that's what we kind of always like to ask here, because this is a collective that has proven through your notes time and time again. So I interact with you, used to be very directly. Now I can't respond to all the notes. And so I have a little note that like goes out if you send a note to me on Facebook or Instagram to say that I can't get to all of them, but I'm going to read all of them, and I do. So I will continue to try and, work in answers to anything that we need to work in answers to along the way. So go ahead and continue asking your questions. And I know a lot of you just like to say, here's where I am with my progress. And sometimes being able to share your progress with somebody who's already seen your story is kind of a neat thing. And so a lot of you like to do that as well. What we see here, though, is despite all the progress, which there has been a lot of it from a lot of you, there's still unfinished business here. There's still work that has to be done in some places where you might be thinking that you're kind of all wrapped up. So you've done a lot of learning. There's been a lot of working through lessons, continues to be. There's always more to learn, but this is about something coming back that hasn't quite been learned to all the way. So you've got a new perspective. Oh, you had to go through whatever you experienced before in order to be able to handle this lesson the way that it's happening. But it's going to show you where the edges are for you. So we've got Hanged Man, which is the new perspective that you gained from the lessons that you've already learned. The Eight of Pentacles in reverse, which is all about here are the edges of your progress. So you've learned some things, but there are going to be some things that that you are going to have to take another pass at. Then we've got this King of Swords. King of Swords, Knight of Wands in reverse. Okay, and the Tower isn't for you, at least not in this portion of the reading. So we have the King of Swords and the Knight of Wands. This is really kind of giving us a little bit of a feel for what it is that you're going to be relearning. So the King of Swords is that ability to step back and look at the situation broadly, to create a strategy, to take it all in and say, all right, I kind of see the lay of the land and understand which way the wind is blowing before I jump in and start making decisions. This Knight of Wands, though, in the reverse is what's causing you to feel the need to do that. So you're getting triggered again by somebody who, and we've seen this, so it's not surprising. You're going to get triggered by somebody who actually manages to get your attention. So they're actually going to manage to get your attention, and you're going to be, because of the experience that you've had with this person who we now realize is having some issues with their third party situation, which of course we'll look a little bit more deeply into, but because of your situation with them, you have learned some things that allow you to see the edges of your learning when you get triggered by this person. It is, we already know, and it continues to feel like not a huge bad thing. This is not you getting a bunch of heartbreak, but it is a little bit of a brush with that previous heartbreak because it brings it up a little bit. That Knight of Wands specifically feels like somebody coming in and coming and going out. But there's a new element to you, and certainly when you're not receiving the equal give and take, you're far less inclined to even interact. But this person gets your attention, and so it is something where you get a little bit triggered and you say, oh, here's what I've learned so far. Maybe here's what I haven't. You're going to figure out, like I said, here's what I haven't. Here's what I haven't learned so far, and here's maybe the quest that I didn't go on that I need to go on. So there's more than one quest. There's definitely an ongoing need to understand what it is that's truly going to make you happy. This is that quest. The Eight of Cups in reversed is going on that quest, but this is like the feeling of not really questing anymore, but so much just kind of aimless meandering towards what could be goals. The Strength card here is telling us that there's something kind of creating a fear in you. This is going to be a little bit bigger of a lesson that needs to be learned. But I think we'll have to get into that because it seems like I'm trying to prod the edges of it, and it's like, oh, it doesn't want to show itself right now. So there's another lesson that's coming up that is even beyond this. I don't know. It doesn't give me that sense of like significant foreboding, like, oh guys, I'm so sorry to drop this on you. It's just another lesson. Like, it's there. It's just a matter of what form it's going to take, and I can't see the form of it yet. What have we got here? Oh, all right. So, one of the things that's going to be very important for you to do is to continue looking for those those things that you are holding on to as if they are responsibilities of yours. You're holding on to them, and it's generating too much of a load on you, too much of a burden on you, but you can't really control these things. So it's a matter of wanting to set them down. There's that. Keep looking for that. That's going to be one of your areas of focus. It's like streamlining. If you've got something where you all of a sudden have a lot fewer resources to do something, you have to do more things with less, just like we all heard about at work for the last forever. Um, it's just something that, it's something that it's a skill set that you gain, and this is one that you're going to want to use. So we've got a few cards here. We're going to look at just the top ones for now. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, which speaks to your, this one doesn't resonate. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, which speaks to your ability to kind of have it all together and have it made and really just feel great about yourself sometimes, even on those days where maybe everything isn't completely aligned. So it's not lying to yourself, it's just having the confidence to continue going sometimes. And I see that in you. So that's, first of all, congratulations, because that can be a little bit tough to accomplish, but that's energy that's in you that you're going to be able to draw upon. You have Okay. You have learned the lesson of the 10 cups to a certain degree. You may have to relearn some of this, but this is basically, what do you do when something amazing comes to you that seems like it's too good to be true and very much like a good dream? What do you do? How do you get closer to it to decide it's not going to be a black and white response? It's going to be somewhere in that gray area where honestly life is lived in that gray area. And then we have death and rebirth, which is kind of trying to watch for yourself to be kind of trying to avoid a lesson that wants to come to you. So there's a lesson that wants to come to you, and you're going to be wanting to, you'll see it and just kind of, it's going to come to you like 4 or 5 different ways. And you're going to say, I just would rather not deal with this right now. But I think it's going to become a little bit more pressing for you, and something that becomes more important for you to start making a change. So just a heads up, that's coming. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, because a lot of you know exactly what that is and have been putting off a change. I'm going to go ahead and go into the extended, though. We will talk a little bit more about you in the extended. We're also going to talk a little bit more about what's happening with your person and their third party, because we see kind of what the unhappiness that's happening there, but mixed with the energy of today, it seems like it's kind of powerful, and maybe this is the reason that this is the day that we needed to do this one. So I'm going to go over to the extended now. The link is down below if you'd like to join me there. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.